topic of the video, considering this is not about Luciferian philosophy, really, nor about the core tenets or focus point of Luciferianism. This is regarding my personal experience, my subjective experience with the paranormal, hauntings, and demonic spirits as a side occurrence or a happening from ritual workings, offerings, just my experience in general over the years. I'm only going to speak of a few. I've had a lot of weird things over the years. Now, understand that skepticism is very good. It's a good trait to have in all things. A balanced, cautious approach to basically consider options in a situation. There are things that happen that science can explain, things that happen when we get the way our brains interpret information can get mixed or give us different signals. But somewhere in the middle, I believe that science and magic, if you will, the compelling order via the will, are kind of parallel. They can coexist. Now, there are things that happen that are outside of what we can commonly explain. And these things I definitely attribute to paranormal occurrences. Now, since I was a child, I've loved the concept of horror and nightmares and all of these things. In fact, I find a lot of strength in it, a lot of passion, inspiration. As a black metal artist, as a dark ambient, general dark music and visual type artistic expressions, all of these play into that. When I was 13, I was living with my mother, and I were living temporarily with my aunt and uncle in Indianapolis, Indiana. And my aunt had a 1970s Ouija board, which planchette had the little nail, brass nail that goes in the center of it. And I was telling her, let's play it. I didn't believe it. We played it for different nights before my uncle came home. Late in the evening, he worked at Conrail as a conductor, directed all the traffic for years, so he'd get home about 12 midnight. And we did this night after night because my aunt, I guess, was bored and was entertaining me. And one night my mom was off work, and we all did this in the kitchen. Now, every night it's probably my aunt moving it. It would say ridiculous things and tell you things that you could figure out on your own, not something to believe in. And one particular night, the last night we did it as us three, I was asking questions. It would tell us how many cars were in the parking lot, just stupid things that don't matter. But then something very interesting happened. The attached car garage, which is locked from the inside, but if you have a key, you can get in from the garage. This door, we heard it, and there's a half wall goes up all the way up to the ceiling in the kitchen where the kitchen table is. So you have this wall that you can't see through. You have to like stand up and back up, and then you can see down the stairs to the two doors, the front door and the garage. The garage door opened and closed. And what came to my mind was that my uncle had come home a little bit early. And when this happened, we heard my aunt's cat. It was this old gray cat named Dusty, was on the staircase and We stand up and we hear it, and it's growling, hissing, but it's doing that low growl that cats do. And its ears are back. We look down, and there it is, and there's nothing there. So me being the excited, like I was just passionate about that. I love that. I run down, the cat runs away, and that door is locked from the inside. I open it, no one there. Uncle's not come back in a big brown van that he drove. We open the front door, no one there. This was just so amazing to me. Now, my aunt threw away the Ouija board a couple days after. She caught me playing it alone, trying to contact the spirits. Years later, in my practice of magic, the core focus is to compel your will for an occurrence, goals, internal, which is like theurgy, represents as a triad of the morning star, liberation, illumination, apotheosis. But from that experience gains insight, and the whole internal experience as a Luciferian, which is balanced with the knowledge applied and experience in the real world. So there's a give and take for both. Both affects, one affects the other. But in some of the darker rites that I've reconstructed, because I have a natural alignment with that, I've had a lot of weird things happen. My wife has witnessed them. We've had friends here who have had things happen. And this house is not old. It's not beyond 20 years old. It doesn't have anyone who died here. But in my rituals over the years, there are times when there is indeed something occurring. And I love that. I wish it would happen more often, but it will happen intensely. Stop. Nothing will happen until I do a specific type of working. I don't always know what kind of working it will be. Usually an offering with incense, libation, for something in one of my grimoires or something that I'm practicing again and again. That itself will, you'll start having things happen. Doors closing. In front of my wife, her daughter-in-law and a friend were working on something in the living room, and papers and a pen just flew off the counter onto the floor in front of them. I've had working on the Jinn book, which Whispers of the Jinn has had the most intense and not always amazing experience of the paranormal, and had a light bulb blow up in the office after doing an offering to a specific Jinn. Glass going everywhere, not hitting me, but everywhere. I had to clean it up before the dogs come in. Doors closing on their own with no AC running or anything like that for wind to cause that. Seeing shadow figures across our balcony. There's a lot of things. Things vanishing and reappearing. So many different things over the years. Now, some of my grimoires have more experiences with the paranormal than others. For instance, Sabeti and Mascamhul produces, or seem to produce during the time, especially with the necromantic workings, shadow figures. I've reconstructed a lot of the demonic, like these Udogul workings, rituals, incantations to call and nothing malicious, just little things happening, boxes falling over, um, pounding on the walls. The book Hecate and the Black Arts, which is necromantic workings, along with the Babylonian Sabeti. I did a lot of callings. No one, the occurrences that we had were poundings on the walls, different things moving, um, but none of it, there was no communication with, for instance, my deceased mother or anything like that. It's always just strange things. And then I approach and welcome the spirits um, in a friendly way with incense offerings, libations, etc., right outside. And if I ever feel something is malignant, well, then I shift gears into from my vampire energy practices of the Black Road of the Dragon over the years, which is a very obscure avenue of serious, like dark Luciferian workings. Um, I produce this energy or direct to devour whatever's there, and then it stops. But I always try the friendly, happy approach first because I do welcome these type of things. The Grimoire Demons of Solomon also had weird poltergeist activity. The Bible, the Adversaries, the earlier workings, especially uh, doors opening and closing, scaring the teenagers years ago. Um, let's see, Dragon and the Two Flames, some strange things as well, especially around the necromantic type of workings. Infernal Union had the pounding on the walls in the kitchen, different sides. No one's there. Also electric, the circuits hitting in code uh, for a while. Um, all of these things happen outside the focus of my will, so I don't let them distract the workings I do. Something I have a skull which I've had for so many years, and there's workings in Mesopotamian magic, ancient sorcery, Kishpu, that you would call and invoke or evoke spirits into a skull for the means of divination. Now, I don't use divination to tell me what to do. I never listen to anything other than my intuition and my own rational mind. But it is an experiment that I do. Also, with regard to Celtic, the cult of the skull or the head, which is going to be in a future grimoire. This is a Kangling. Now, this one I attained, more than 20 years ago, probably close to 25 years ago. And I use it in a lot of my ritual music. It's made from a thigh bone of a dead person, and essentially it was imported from overseas, and it's used in Tibetan, Buddhist, and Bonpo to call spirits and to send them away. I use it to call. We once, when the Luciferian Apothec opened in 2007, 2008, we sold and imported Kanglings for a while until the laws changed and we couldn't, and the prices went up so high it just wasn't feasible. But we had one that we got in, and I should have kept it, but I didn't associate it, nor did my wife, with a Kangling that we had. We had a lot of poltergeist type activity happen for a while, and then when we sold it and sent it off, it all stopped for months. Also, my dogs, the ones who are deceased, and the ones we have now, the two we have now, have often started barking at empty spaces on the staircase. They will alert us sometimes, sometimes they won't. I have objects such as a human bone, crystal wand, which I use in necromantic workings, Yatuptano, Persian sorcery type things. I also believe that objects can have energy attached to them, haunted, etc. So these are all things that I absolutely have a passion for. Haunted houses. I always love to go to places that are considered haunted to actually see. In the beginning of the video, you see me with a Ouija board. And my friends, we were in a cemetery at night on Halloween, and I filmed it while we were doing it. So that was something that was exciting. It was a pretty fresh grave. Nothing came home with me, and I always invite these things. But I'll tell you, I am definitely, I love these things. And, well, by the way, this is Orcus. It's like my dog, Pomeranian. Yeah. So he doesn't recognize things too often. He's kind of, but when he does, he will let you know, because he'll start barking, or the ears go back and things like that, similar to a cat. So demonic presences, I welcome them. Nothing harms, because I'll devour it. And it's a technique that I've used for many years and developed, as can you. But I welcome these things, and I often do and have done many protection workings for those I love and care about. So there's a balance with those. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I have more in the works, and have a very pleasant Halloween, Samhain. Till then, Banama Arama.